to be a fantastic game, Pete. I was just about to ask you a question. I don't know who won the toss, and if it had been you and you'd won the toss, would you played up first half or down?
I'd have played up. I would have played up.
Definitely, I would as well. I tried to hold Batley at half time to a close score, or even be in front, and then play it down in the second half.
So the game underway then. Batley have the ball in possession, and they move this to around the 20-metre mark. They're probably about 20 metres in as well from this near stand touch as the ball goes through hands, and Dominic Brambini in there organising his troops, getting his players on the front foot along with Alistair Leake. Batley managed to gain another 10 metres there with some strong running up to the 40-metre mark as play continues here at the Foxes Biscuit Stadium. Cut out pass there, misses one, misses two as they come to this near stand side. Here tackled by Mendika and Aston. Aston then moves across with Damien Siren and takes out the kicker for Batley. That will see Oscar Thomas collect the return. Oscar Thomas puts a bit of pace on and manages to get Bradford up to the 40-metre line. Ilias McCartney now will look to take a little run from the acting half. He's met by 3 Batley defenders and just shy of the halfway line. Corey Aston then feeds the ball to Cameron Smith. Cameron Smith is then put down to the grass. Scott Moore in at acting half, feeds Damien Siren, and Damien Siren offloads to Liam Kirk. Liam Kirk, little spin round, but can't get no momentum there down this Batley slope. Scott Moore in then at acting half, sees Corey Aston go, spots a little gap, drops the shoulder steps off the front foot to keep Batley on the back foot. Oscar Thomas then will kick on that one. The ball goes high. This is a tester for Batley, but the Batley fullback there, Dave Scott, takes that under the guidance and watchful eye of 2 Bradford defenders. Mark, opening sets, what do we think?
So far so good. Bradford testing out the Batley defence and not really coming away with anything, and the kick was high in the sky from Oscar Thomas, but well taken by the Batley fullback. So even Stephen so far.
Yeah, even Stephen then as play continues here at the Foxes Biscuit Stadium. Batley in possession then will come up the slope, looking to move the ball out onto the far stand side. They keep the ball alive, and Bradford now having to defend on the 5th and last. Batley just shy of, or just over the 30-metre mark. The ball will go to Don Brambini. Don Brambini is absolutely poleaxed again by Damien Sirenan, and the crowd don't like that, but that allows the kick to come up to Bradford, and Ilias McCartney then is wrapped up by 2 Batley tacklers as play continues here at the Foxes Biscuit Stadium. Bradford just over the 40-metre line, 20 metres in from the far stand side. James Bentley will look to get the team on the front forward, manages to claw his way to the halfway line, and Bradford still looking here to try and find a gap as John Magrin then exerts a little power, gets those legs moving, but just manages to get over the halfway line. Liam Kirk to Corey Aston to Mendika looking, unfortunately just overran his winger there, Mark, on that one. 5th and last. Bradford still the ball in hand. Corey Aston will put the kick along the ground. Will that find touch? Yes, it does. Mark, what was that all about there when Mendika looking for the support player on their outside to send him through the gap in McCartney, and McCartney overrun him?
Well, I think it's a case of not reading what your partner's doing, and you end up with a kick from Corey Aston. There was a nothing kick. Absolutely, that piece of attacking play was actually quite poor from Bradford. Easily defended by Batley, but then it is defended against poor attacking play. And Bradford did nothing with that, and Jeff Truby, I would think, would be livid with that, because I would if I was the coach. That came along. Mendika should have come back off his right foot, turned back inside, and just take the tackle. Instead, he got up and played the ball very quickly. The speed of the play of the ball for Bradford, for me, is far too slow. It's bottom of the championship stuff, and even a team like Batley, Batley are a good side that can defend. They will pick that out, and they will exploit that, and then they'll keep themselves in the game. The play of the ball is going to be quicker from Bradford.
So we see the first penalty of the afternoon then awarded to Batley. Referee saying Bradford not clearing the ruck as play continues here. The kick does find touch. Batley will restart on the 40-metre line inside the Bradford Bulls half with a lovely little rin there from Alex Bretherton. Alex Bretherton then gets up, plays the ball. The ball is played by James Leake. James Leake looking for runners, etc. He feeds Tom Lillycrop. Tom Lillycrop then goes down in a tackle. Batley still ball in hand, will now attack this near stand top corner, and again the tackles come in. Mendika manages to pin down Dave Scott there, and as Batley now look to get a little bit of a inside offside ball running, a little crossover play there. But again, still the Bradford defence is out. Bradford defence comes out now and meets the actual Batley Bulldogs. That's a missed pass there. That will see Bradford sprint away, and it is Joe Keys, ball in hand. Joe Keys will go all the way. He's been told to go under the sticks. What a fantastic try. Length of the field try there from Joe Keys to get Bradford Bulls on the score sheet here. Mark, again, a little bit of a sloppy play, but I've got to say, Mark, that all came from Bradford's eagerness in defence there.
Well, they upped the defensive antics there just for a slight second, and the pass behind from Batley went to ground. Keys was Johnny on the spot. He picked up the ball. He ran, 85 metres and touchdown. He should have gone a little bit further inside a bit earlier. He didn't think he could to make the kick easier for Oscar Thomas. One of his Bradford colleagues said get in a bit closer. He did. So he touched down probably about 10 metres, 12 metres to the left-hand side of the Batley post, making that kick that little bit easier. Great speed from Joe Keys, great awareness, pinned his ears back. All good players who break away should never look back, because you're either going to get caught or you're not. Great play, come from big defence, and that's what Bradford are going to do. They're going to thwart Batley, they're going to hit them hard in the tackle and force them into the errors.
So we've had just under 7 minutes played here then at the Foxes Biscuit Stadium. Joe Keys manages to score first to give Bradford a lead of 4-0, and with the kick to come from Oscar Thomas, who's usually pretty accurate with his kicking. We're hoping that he can find the uprights with this one, as the Bradford plans rightly applaud the team as they come back up to the top north hand side of the ground. Oscar Thomas kicks that one, misses it unfortunately, so the score remains Batley Bulldogs 0, Bradford 4. Mark, again, I'm glad I didn't put my mortgage on that one.
Well, there's two things there, and I'm going to be critical now, and people won't like it. Joe Keys should have turned in that little bit earlier when he was sprinting away, because the Batley player wouldn't have caught him, and should have tried to touch that bit nearer, but it still wasn't a difficult kick, and Oscar Thomas missed it. It's things like that, it's those moments in a game that will have lifted Batley a little bit, because they're thinking to themselves, well, they can't convert the kicks. It's only 4 ahead now. That should have been 6. Multiply that over a few times in a game. It's a thinking game for Bradford. The composure, the thinking game makes it a little bit better.
Well, Wayne Retty then gets us underway with a deep kick. That's collected by Johnny Campbell. Johnny Campbell will race away, manages to fall about 17 metres from his own try line. Scott Moore in acting half, feeds Corey Aston. Corey Aston on to Ilias McCarney. Ilias McCarney there then manages to get to the 20-metre line as Bradford retain possession. Here it's a bit slow as the play of the ball. Scott Moore trying to speed things up. John Magrin then goes in for a nice little run, nice little skilled run, manages to get over the 30-metre line, but again he's pinned down by 3 Batley tacklers. Scott Moore then in at acting half, feeds Corey Aston. Corey Aston puts another kick downfield, will turn David Scott around. That will go dead, and that will be a restart to Batley. So, Mark, again another nothing kick.
It was really. The only consolation is that Bradford can defend the 20-metre mark. It should have been kicked the other side of the flag. Easier said than done from so far out. But what you've got to do with your forwards are going to get you nearer to the opponent's 20-metre red zone, because obviously the further upfield you are, getting the ball where you want it to go is easier when you're nearer to where you want to be. And I just think that one or two of the forwards just aren't busting the holes like they should be. They're not running into the gaps as hard as the Batley forwards, for example. They've got up the intensity left and right of the ruck from the second rows and the 2 props.
Well, that is another little mistake there, and the ball is knocked backwards from Dave Scott, which gives Bradford a little bit of an advantage, managing to keep Batley in their own half here, just shy of the 30-metre line. Now, the referee will then say Batley have come up with an error, the first error of the afternoon. The referee today is Matthew Rossley from East Stirling. I think it's the first time that Bradford have had this referee, Mark, and so far so good. He's kept on top of the play and managed to keep it flowing.
Yes, I hope we don't give him the commentator's curse, Pete, but so far so good. He has been good. He's been on top of the game, and it's very, very warm out there, so even referees who are fit have to just take advantage of any water can get. The water carrier's been on there for Bradford. Let's see what happens. But Bradford in the ascendancy, but not dominating.
So the ball goes into the scrum, comes out. Scott Moore then feeds Damien Sirinen. Damien Sirinen offloads in the tackle to Joe Keys. He's unfortunately wrapped up there by two eager Bradford tacklers. The play continues. Scott Moore feeds Liam Kirk. Liam Kirk manages to scramble another few yards. Scott Moore then runs away, does a little bit of a scoot at Acton half to keep the Bradford Bulls pinned down here in the Batley half. Damien Sirinen offloads to Liam Kirk, just like he did last week when he sent Liam Kirk in for a score. Not on this occasion. Bradford now sit 8 metres away from the Batley Bulldogs try line. The ball there bounces about, ricochets left, ricochets right. We get a knock on. We've got one knock on, two knock on. The referee's indicating that there's certainly two knock ons there, Matt, if not three. So he will form the scrum. He's given head and feed to Batley. And again, Matt, when Bradford were in a key position, they've just blown it.
Well, it's confidence, and what happened there was that Suriname, his interpassing was really good, bringing the backs onto the ball, and then I think it was Mendeka that tried to pass it out the back door, and it went to the floor, and that's not thinking. You've got to run it in from 5 metres, because down this slope, your weight and your power, and particularly if you dive from 2 metres out, should take you over. So Bradford not dominating, and for me, just not quite being intense enough. You got up the intense level.
So Bratley then given another penalty from Bradford's indiscipline, then not managing to get back on side when Batley had possession. Now Batley will come. They will fall just short of the halfway line and look to get something going here with James Brown. James Brown in the centre of the park. Then he's tackled by Damien Sirinen, wrapped up quite nicely. But Batley still on the front foot as they come up this slope. Now sit in centre field, a metre short of the 30 metre line of Bradford. And again, some resolute tacking there from Damien Sirinen and Liam Kirk, certainly getting through a lot of work, these two early on in this game. But Dominic Brambani then showing a bit of a run around, trying to bring in his winger Jason Crooks and his centre there over on the far stand side, trying to get them lively as play continues here at the Foxes Biscuit Stadium. That will be watched to go dead. Bradford will start the game on the 30 metre line, and Ilias McCarney looks to go straight away, feeds Corey Aston. Corey Aston, I don't think was really expecting that there from Ilias McCarney, so I dare say I'll speak to him afterwards after the game, Mark. But so far, like I say, I've been impressed with Sirinen and Kirk. They've certainly got through a lot of work.
Yeah, Sirinen looks good. He's typical clever Aussie forward. He knows where to release the ball, when to release it, to not expand energy and not get anywhere with it, and he looks like a very, very useful acquisition for the Bulls.
So Ed Chamberlain and Johnny Campbell then linking up on the far stand side. Ed Chamberlain comes back inside the middle of the park, and that will see Joe Margreen feed Damien Sirinen. Damien Sirinen then makes his way to the 40 metre line. Scott Moore in at Acton half feeds Corey Aston. Corey Aston looking for runners. Unfortunately, again, being overrun there slightly by Mandika. But that will then see the ball go to Oscar Thomas. Oscar Thomas will cut back and inside. This will be fifth and last. What can Bradford Bulls do here? They're about 25 metres away from the Batley line. Corey Aston will chip into the corner and turn the Batley Bulldogs round. The referee's going to form the scrum. He's going to give the advantage to Batley. That seemed to strike the Batley player's leg there, Mark, as that went into touch. But the referee says no, head and feet to Batley.
Well, I thought it touched the Batley player's body in some part, but the referee saying no. So the scrum on the about the 15 metre mark for the Batley feed. And if I was a Batley player now and the Batley pack leader and the captain, I'd be thinking, is this the best that Bradford have to offer? Because they're walking Batley back down the pitch, but when they get into the red zone, they're not efficient enough, they're not ruthless enough, they're coming away with nothing. And that if I was a Batley player, that would lift my spirits, quite frankly. Somebody's going to get the game by the scruff of the neck and take the line on hard and tenaciously and fast and that little bit quicker.
Well, I'd be looking at Scott Moore to certainly rise to the occasion as captain to certainly settle his team down and say, look, guys, momentum's in our favour at this moment. We lead 4-0. We're deep down in the Batley half. Everything seems to be, going well for us, apart from lacking this killer instinct that we don't seem to have, Mark, when we get ourselves in a good position that really we should have, that would then see teams, hopefully concede against us when we're in attack.
Well, with all this field positioning, let's credit Batley for some decent defence. You should be more points in front, quite frankly. They look a little bit disjointed from the half-back pairing to the centre. Particularly on this right-hand side with Mendeka and McCartney, it isn't quite working. Maybe the option to hit it to the other side a little bit more and see what can happen. But early days yet, but Bradford leading by 4 points to 0.
Well, we've seen in the past, Mark, that Mendeka and Ed Chamberlain have partnered well, in both centre and winger. And I wonder if that'll be something in Tuvi's mind as this game progresses. He maybe changes the partnerships around a little bit, puts them two back together to exploit their pace and understanding. Batley then, with possession, will now get the game back underway and come up this Batley slope. They now sit 25 metres away from their own try line as Brambini looks to feed. Forward runners there in Dane Manning getting through a bit of work in this first half. And again, Batley looking for runners, splitting the Bulls' defence, but unfortunately the second phase of attack's not there. James Leake then gets a little bit of a scoop going. Damien Sirenen lucky there not to give a penalty away on the fifth and last. That will see a kick into this bottom's corner. Oscar Thomas collects. He's then wrapped up by 3 Batley tacklers. They will put him into touch. Why Ilias McCartney there didn't get on the inside of him and support him from going out, Mark. He could see what was going to happen, and he just stood back and let it happen. So again, Ilias McCartney at fault by not backing his fullback and keeping him in the field of play.
I'm shaking my head, Pete, and I'll tell you, if that was an amateur team doing that, I would horsewhip them. That was absolutely garbage defence against a team that's line speed isn't all that quick, not knowing what you're doing and getting dragged into touch. That is very, very, very poor. That's why we're bottom of the league.
Well, you had to see it to believe it, Mark, and I'm sure when people watch that on the highlights and the video package, they'll fully understand what we mean by just not good enough. We see Mikola Lalesky coming out and getting ready to go onto the park as a first substitute of the day, and I'm hoping that once he gets on, we'll get some forward momentum. Batley with the ball in hand will look to attack and post their first score of the day, which they do, and again it's been coming, Mark, it's been on the card. That was Alex Bretherton then that just manages to touch down for Batley Bulldogs. And Mark, it's not a surprise. It's been on the cards, and I certainly think that Bradford are guilty there of switching off again, Mark, at key times, as we've seen them do so many times in previous games.
Well, why on earth centre three quarters defend on the heels? They run back when the player's running at them, so they're moving out the line, knocking him down. They're trying to grab him upstairs when he's already halfway over the line. That is defending of the lowest order. That's not acceptable, and you will lose games defending like that. But that all came from attacking the Batley line, being in the Batley 20, getting marched back upfield, doing the wrong options, dropping off tackles, running to touch and getting the scrum against you. That's the sort of thing gives coaches a heart attack. It's terrible, and Jeff Tooby must be absolutely living with it, because that has let Batley back in. And no more than Batley deserve. They will exploit any weakness that Bradford have.
Well, fortunately for Bradford, the kick in there, I shouldn't laugh really, but Patch Walker, that was more like a goal swing than a kick at goal.
Yeah,
and
ironically, the wind got hold of it and lifted it and nearly took it over, but it was going nowhere near, was it? And let's hope that that's even Stevens. It's 4 apiece, of course. And,
yep.
It's about right, is that? It's about right. The Bradford have had all the field possession and have had most of the ball, but just not been able to do anything with it.
So 20 minutes gone then here at the Foxes Biscuit Stadium. You're listening to the Big Match Live on BCB 106.6 FM, brought to you in association with Provident, supporting Bull supporters home and away. Batley now have the ball in possession. Combe manages to get to the 20-metre line from their own line, as we see Wayne Retty there actually busting his legs, being held down in the tackle. Bradford are going to have to be careful here, Mark, because there's a couple of occasions where they've just laid on, and the referee is certainly looking at it, and the Batley players are saying, "Come on, ref, let's get the speed of the ball played up." But he's not pinged them yet, but I'm sure that it's not far away from that, as we see Damien Sirenen and Liam Kirk pin another Batley attacker to the floor. Then we see Alistair Leake will go in at acting half. The kick goes over the top. That's collected by Oscar Thomas. Oscar Thomas will pass the ball to Ilias McCartney. Ilias McCartney will then be wrapped up, Mark, just shy of the 40-metre line. We'll then see Johnny Campbell have a bit of a run and ask a few questions. Johnny Campbell then is wrapped up by two eager Batley defenders. Oscar Thomas in acting half will field Mikel Alaleski. He's now on the park. Mikel Alaleski nowhere to go, but manages to get just over the halfway line. Scott Moore in acting half feeds Joe Keys. Joe Keys out to James Bentley. James Bentley juggles with the ball, knocks on. That will hand possession back to Batley. Batley now in the ascendancy, and we've seen Wayne Retty there certainly dancing his way around the park. Batley now sit 20 metres in and 25 metres away from the Bradford try line, as another nothing pass there from Don Brambini will certainly help Bradford in their cause get back on side. And obviously Bradford now having to defend against this Batley Bulldogs attack that's certainly rampaging up this slope with some great ease, Mark.
They're making more meters going forward than Bradford because they're running harder and faster into the gap and looking strong, battling, looking to come back. It wouldn't surprise me if they don't go over the whitewash very quickly.
Well, there we see James Leake then trying to create a little bit of a gap. He's just about a metre short of the try line. Bradford muscle up in defence, managed to push him back. The referee's telling him to get on with the game. The ball goes out now. They're going to move it towards the far stand side. Dambrini, a little offload to to James Brown. James Brown beats one, then beats two, then offloads, manages to get another Batley attacking player who is wrapped up out there in Dane Manning, and a little chip kick through. Oscar Thomas, don't know what he was doing there, but the referee has said that will be a drop out. Oscar Thomas then really, Mark, didn't know what and didn't have a clue.
Well, the Bradford back line, when they're put under pressure, look absolutely clueless. They don't call for each other, they're not talking to each other, there's no noise from them, they're watching a bouncing ball, which you teach all kids at 11 years old not to do, etc, etc. This is a matter of time before Batley put more on the scoreboard, in my opinion.
So the kick out then from Oscar Thomas, he's managed to find his way to the halfway lane. That will see Batley come back up the slope. That's a big hit and a big collision, then a trip on James Brown. James Brown there certainly eager for work. That will give a penalty to Batley, and again we'll get play underway. Alistair League takes a little quick tap looking for runners. He's in there again. It's Alistair League, manages to keep the ball alive. Don Brambini then comes up with a little bit of an error. That will be a kick chase. The referee has blown his whistle. He'll bring play back. I don't think Johnny Campbell's now looking round and saying, well, there's nobody come with me, so he realises he's going to have to come all the way back up from where he is now with the ball. The referee will stop the clock, and Bradford will have the put-in at this scrum, but Bradford, they're certainly lucky, Mark, on that one.
Bradford very well. The situation was that Johnny Campbell broke away, believed that Bradford were in the right to keep on playing. The referee had seen something we hadn't, and he's called the scrum and head and feet to Bradford. So should he allow play on? I'm not too sure he saw. I couldn't see anything wrong with that. So Bradford perhaps a little bit unlucky.
So Mikel Alaleski then will look to get Bradford on the front foot. He manages to claw his way towards the 30-metre line. James Bentley now takes a bit of a facial there. The referee says on his shoulder, but James Bentley certainly looking at the referee and saying, well, are you going to allow that to go on? Damien Surin offloads in the tackle. I don't think Bradford were ready for that. And again, come up with an error. Batley have the ball. The referee says knock on. And he will give he'll say it's a Batley knock on. Now I'm surprised there, Mark, because I would have thought he'd allowed play on there with a ball in hand from James Brown, and I certainly thought that Bradford have got off luckily again there, Mark.
Well, we'll check that one because I thought that was and I think Bradford have got away with that one, very much so.
So scrum down then. Joe Keys puts the ball in the scrum. Scott Moore breaks, fields Mikel Alaleski. Mikel Alaleski will look to get those big legs of his going, and Bradford now sit just 25 metres in from this touchline side, and just shy of the halfway line now through Scott Moore. Oscar Thomas then will look to take a little run. Oscar Thomas has managed to get Bradford into the Batley half. Scott Moore in at acting half feeds Joe Keys. Joe Keys takes the ball to that far stand side, does a little run around with James Bentley. Ball back in the hands now of Joe Keys. Joe Keys looking for another runner. He finds that in Ed Chamberlain, but Bradford now trying to get some momentum down this slope and now sit just shy of the 20-metre mark, with Carlton Roach now on the park, back from his recent injury troubles. The kick goes up on the fifth and last. That's well taken by the Batley defender. That will be a dropout to the Bradford Bulls, and a little bit more of an inventive play there, Mark.
A little bit more inventive from Bradford, a little bit better. The kick that went to about 20 foot into the air, just lobbed, allowing, if you put a lob in and it just comes down a little bit slower, it gives your attacking line a chance to get into the face of the defenders. That's what they did, forced the error from Batley, or forced the defence from Batley, who touched it behind the touch in goal area, and they have to drop out now to Batley. Bradford, if you can't get some points when you go down to your opponent's end, you've got to put them under pressure, and that's what Bradford have done to Batley.
So Joe Keys takes that one then, feeds Carlton Roach. Carlton Roach manages to get his big frame going and busts some leg yardage there and gets Bradford onto the front foot. We now sit just shy, well, just over the 20-metre mark. We're about 17 metres away from the Batley try line. Joe Keys will put the ball through. Corey Aston feeds James Mendeka. James Mendeka then chips forward looking for Ilias McCartney. The ball then is hacked out of play by Batley again. So Bradford will get a second consecutive dropout here. It's to be up they can use this one better than the first one, Mark. And we've now had about 30 minutes of the first half. Bradford 4, Batley Bulldogs 4 here at the Foxes Biscuit Stadium. You're listening to the Big Match Live on BCB 106.6 FM. Don't forget you can tweet us, and don't forget you can follow us on Facebook. We are brought to you in association with Provident, supporting Bull supporters home and away, as we wait for Batley to drop out then, and Patch Walker then kicks that one. That bounces. Carlton Roach collects. Carlton Roach then manages to beat one tackler. He's then brought down by the second Batley tackler. Scott Moore goes in at acting half. He feeds Damien Siren, and Damien Siren twisting, turning in the tackle, looking for runners. None there, unfortunately. Scott Moore gets Bradford going. Bradford then put the ball through hands, and a knock on from Oscar Thomas over on the far side will now give undo all the hard work and all the possession and all the guard that Bradford had there to get down into the Batley half has now been undone, Mark, with that knock on.
Well, what I can't understand is why Bradford can't put three sets of passes together along the three-quarter line, either on the left-hand side or the right-hand side. Every time we've had a sortie into the Batley area, into the Batley 10-metre area in actual fact, put Batley under pressure. It hasn't been through great defending or particularly fast line speed from Batley. It's been through their own undoing of not being able to control the ball, keep hold of it, and even try the odd inside ball back inside. Very staccato from Bradford, and all this possession, all this field territory, just having no effect for Bradford whatsoever. And it must be lifting the spirit psychologically for Batley, because they're thinking, well, if you can attack like this and we can hold you out, when we're playing down the slope in the second half, we've got you.
Definitely. And like I say, to their half, we've seen it before, Mark, in games where, we've had like 3 sets of 6 previously in games where we failed to score, and then we've handed possession back to the opposition, and usually, Mark, we've seen them come up the park, maybe on the back of a penalty or something like that. We piggyback them and they usually score. Batley then, 5th and last tackle, will kick. That will be taken by Ilias McCartney. Ilias McCartney will then return the ball back to just shy of the 20-metre mark, halfway mark. There's a bit of afters going on in there in the tackle, and Adam Gledel then now on the park, giving Ilias McCartney one for his troubles. So Johnny Campbell then takes the second drive. He's brought down. Bradford now managed to get the ball over the 30-metre line, and a little bit of a juggle there from Head Chamberlain, but Bradford managing to retain possession. We see another shot there, and now the referee does give his first penalty mark for a head-eye shot on James Bentley. On James Bentley. And again, Mark, it's what can you say?
It's because they're not running hard enough out of the line and not dropping the shoulders. They run into the defender Bradford. They're running a little bit too straight up, and they're trying to create some with the feet, and that's all right, but that can only be done when it's not crowded. It was too crowded around the ruck area. You've got to just run hard and straight and do the hard and dirty stuff first of all. Get yourself in a way your footwork can help you out of trouble, but not on that occasion. So a little bit of not running hard and straight from James Benton, and a little bit of a high shot from the Batley defender.
So Bradford with possession then. Corey Aston looking to get something going here, as Bradford now sit just over the 20-metre line. Damien Sirenen then manages to get his big frame going forward. Bradford centre field, about 12 metres out from the Batley try line. What can Bradford do here? Scott Moore hits Joe Keys. Joe Keys is then wrapped up. Bradford now on the 10-metre line, really looking for some ideas here. That then is Mikel Alaleski, and the referee will give another penalty for what is another eye shot. Bradford here now, Mark. If this was me as coach, I would be saying take the 2, get the ball back, and let's have another running set, because Bradford, though, decide otherwise. Scott Moore taps the ball, then gives the ball to Damien Sirenen. Damien Sirenen is brought down 5 metres shy of the line. The ball then goes out to the far stand side. Joe Keys, James Bentley. James Bentley is picked off quite easily. Bradford now back on the Batley 10-metre line, so losing some yardage there, but again still have possession. Carlton Roach will look to get Bradford on the front foot. Takes the ball from Joe Keys. He's still managing to claw his way forward. Bradford here through Scott Moore. Offload from Damien Sirenen. If Damien Sirenen offloads there, and if Corey Aston had been managed to take that one in, it would have been a lovely try for Bradford, but unfortunately Corey Aston misses the pass, and again, Mark, Bradford come up with another error in a key position that gives the advantage back to Batley.
Well, Damien Sirenen has got some brains. He knows how to unlock this Batley defence, but of course he's only his second game with his teammates, and he offloaded that back door. It was a bit low. Bradford couldn't take it. If Corey Aston could have caught that, then it'd have been over. That would have been a good try. I would have gone for the 2 points, like you said. I'd have got the kick back and done the set. But obviously somebody's reading the game differently to me.
And me, Mark, and me. But then again, we're not coaches of Bradford Bulls either, are we? So again, we'll see what happens, and see what happens with this next set as the game continues here at the Foxes Biscuit Stadium. Batley in possession will look to come up the slope again from the scrum, and Dominic Brambani there looking for his runners, trying to get his side on the front foot. Bradford lying on in the tackle, and now the referee does pin for that. It's been a long time coming, that one, Mark, because Bradford had been slow to clear the ruck. The kick is taken quickly. Bradford now need to get back into field position, and Batley with the ball in hand then with Joe Farrell. Joe Farrell takes a run and manages to get Batley up to the 30-metre line. The referee now shouts held. He will play that. Scott Moore a bit slow there, releasing Joe Farrell. Adam Gledel then takes possession. Again, another forward man for Batley in there, keeping Batley on the front foot. Batley will now look to take the ball to the far stand side into the red zone of the Bradford Bulls. Batley then asking questions. Now managed to get around about 8 metres shy of the Bradford line. That's a good tackle from Mikel Alaleski on the Bradford players, but they will look to bring it to this near stand side. Batley, Dave Scott drops the ball. The referee says there was a Bradford foot in there, gives it back to 1. This will give Batley another set of 6 then, as the ball moves now centre field, and Patch Walker in there. Bit of a messing about around the play of the ball again as Adam Gledel gets up, plays the ball. The ball's moving to the far stand side now, and we're seeing Johnny Campbell certainly calling for defensive players to get over there. That is his request is met through Joe Keys and Ed Chamberlain then, as they managed to repel Batley back. Dominic Brambini spills the ball. That will see Damien Sirenen pick up the ball, and the referee will go for the first knock on and set the scrum, and Bradford then again getting off lucky, Mark.
Do you know, if Damien Sirenen wasn't on the field, Bradford would be struggling even more. He looks like the only player with any real idea of how to attack, how to go about playing rugby league offensively. And he's out there trying to offload. He's trying a little bit too hard sometimes. He's got his hand in his haunches. He's hot out there. He's having to do a lot of work as well. The thinking game's just going to increase from Bradford. There's nobody taking the game by the scruff of the neck, a half-back, and taking it to the Batley line. And it's making it so easy for Batley to defend.
Carlton Roach then will get the game back underway. He will make the way just shy of the 20-metre line. Corey Aston in an acting half feeds James Mendika. James Mendika then is brought down 25 metres away from his own try line as Sam Alice now enters the fray. He will feed Carlton Roach. Carlton Roach is wrapped up again by another slightly high tackle there, but the referee says no across his chest. Sam Alice feels Mikel Alaleski. Mikel Alaleski not managing to get any momentum whatsoever in his runs. I think he took a knock to the head as well. Corey Aston then is absolutely prolapsed there by Alex Rowe. He's now on the park. The big frame of Alex Rowe sitting Corey Aston on the turf. The ball has gone. The referee stops the clock. Now, what is he going to give here, Mark? Because...
Well, I personally think there should be a penalty against Batley because they took Corey Aston out. And I can't imagine the Bradford pack. Can you imagine the Bradford pack of yesterday allowing Derek Fox to be taken out? No. Or Paul Deacon? We'd have got stuck into the Batley players. Well, they'd have known they're in a tough game, and Batley will bully the way out of this game. They're a rough, tough side, and they know that's one of their strengths. The Bradford pack have got to stand up to them.
Well, seeing that there, Mark, the referee has actually given a penalty to Bradford. He's put the incident on report, and he called Alex Rowe over to him and said, look, I'm putting that on report. And he's given the penalty to Bradford. So Sam Hallis has got the ball in his hand on the 10-metre line. What can Bradford do here then? Corey Aston, Michael Alaleski, Joe Keys. Oscar Thomas throws a wild pass again on the first tackle. And again, Batley now have the ball. So all that, Mark, has wasted again. Oscar Thomas coming up with another error.
I said it last week, and I don't like picking players out. Oscar Thomas has got to be brought off. Oscar Thomas is totally ineffective today. He's not doing his job properly. He's a liability at the moment, and he's bringing off. But who are you going to put at full-back? That's the problem.
Well, I'm just looking down there, Mark, at the coaches bench, and I can see Bradford Bulls coaching staff, Mark Dunning there, shaking his head in disbelief, looking up towards the instructions that he's probably getting from Lee Beattie and Jeff Tuvey. And again, all three of them shaking their head in disbelief at that one then, when Oscar Thomas again come up with the error. Alex Rowe then will get Batley on the front foot. He's brought down just over the 30-metre mark as Batley will come up this slope again and looking for something here to finish this half strongly. Batley 4, Bradford Bulls 4 here on BCB. That's a loose pass. That will see Sam Alice collect that. He's taken round the head and the referee says nothing about that one. The touch judge, Mark, really should be on there waving his flag because that was in front of everybody to see. But again, it's allowed to go on as Ed Chapelau now enters the fray. Ed Chapelau gets up, plays the ball. Sam Allison at acting half will feed Corey Aston. Corey Aston hits Michael Alaleski. Michael Alaleski is brought down on the 20-metre mark. Sam Hallis then back in at acting half, shows and goes, feeds Corey Aston, the link-up's there, Oscar Thomas ball in hand, he's then pinned to the floor by two Batley tacklers. It's all too easy for Batley, Mark, in my mind. That will see James Mendeka then try and make his way towards the Batley line. Bradford now sit 10 metres out, it's a kick on the last, that's too easy. That will see... Well, I think the referee here, I don't know what's going on there, Mark. I was ready to say that will be a dropout to Bradford. He's going to consult with his touch judge. James Bentley comes up with the ball in hand. He's saying that Batley have dropped that, and if that's the case, no, the referee says...
I knew that was a try. Batley dropped it in the touch and goal area, and Bradford pounced on that. But the linesman was having a daydream. It was like a tailor's dummy in a Burton's window. He was just stood daydreaming. He didn't know. The referee asked him, pointless asking him, and the referee didn't know, so he didn't give the try. That was a try. Batley knocked it forward in their own touch and goal area. It went to the floor, and Bradford pounced it. That was a try.
So Bradford disallowed the try then. Well, we'll see Batley with a relieving penalty managed to get the way up to the 30-metre line in their own half. Alex Rowe then with the ball looking to get on the front foot. He's met by three good strong Bradford tacklers there. Michael Alaleski leading the way. Sam Alice is certainly putting himself about on the park a bit here as Joe Farrell with the ball in hand breaks the line. Corey Aston hangs on to him for all dear life. He's then helped out by Sam Alice and James Mendeka, who do manage to bring Joe Farrell down to the turf, but shy of the 30-metre line now in the Bradford half. And Batley putting the ball through hands. Dave Stott over on the far stand side will look to ask questions of this Bradford defence. Managed to get inside the red zone, and he's brought down. What can Batley do here then? Over on the far stand side, a little bit of a sloppy pass. Bradford come up with that. So again, Batley coming up with an error and handing Bradford possession in key areas. And it's been a bit of the same for both teams, Mark.
Both coaches will be absolutely livid because the errors that Batley errors have kept them in the game, quite frankly, and or should I say, kept Bradford in the game. What worries me, I'm looking at the Batley forwards getting 10 and 15 metres with their drives up the hill. So what's it going to be like in the second half? But Batley not quite there with it, and Matt Diskin will be livid about that. If they cut the errors down, then they've got a better chance of getting into the game. But Bradford, again, more field position, more possession, but no points from it.
Sam Allison, since he came on the park leading on the front foot, will look to get Bradford further down the park. Feeds Corey Aston. Corey Aston kicks for the touch, will find touch, and that will see Batley with possession here in the closing stages of this first half. And Batley will have it all to do to come up the slope again, and Bradford will hunt the error from the Batley Bulldogs. The score stands Batley 4, Bradford Bulls 4. And we're deep into the first half here. I reckon that there's roughly, I reckon that we should be there about mark on the clock. And I reckon that we're deep in injury time here, Mark, but just waiting for play to continue. I know the referee stopped the clock again, as Batley now put the ball in the scrum through Patch Walker. And that will see Batley come out and try and make something of this game and bring the ball in the closing stages. And again, another penalty then is given to Batley, and I think that's a case there, Mark, of old man in the referee, Sean Ainscough, certainly been round the block a little bit and again played for that one. Batley then piggybacked up the park, will start on the 40-metre line, managing to get Joe Farrell on the go. Joe Farrell will ease his way to just shy of the halfway line. There's a wrestle and a tussle going on there with Joe Farrell and Sam Hallis, but Sam Hallis is up, and that also saw Cameron Smith in there, managing to bring Joe Farrell down. Play continues then, and Mikel Alaleski gets through some tackling work again with Sam Hallis, managing to get through some tackling stint. Sam Allison again with another tackle, Mark. So that's like 3 on the bounce now that Sam Allison has been involved with. Certainly putting himself about a bit. Dominic Brambini then drops a shoulder, tries to go through the gap. James Bentley is there to wrap him up. Batley now sit 12 metres shy. The little kick will come on the 5th and last. That will find Sean Ainscough. Sean Ainscough will take a step. Beats 1, beats 2. Kicks across the park into the hands of Joe Keys. Joe Keys collects that as if it was his birthday and nullifies that attack of Batley. And Bradford have the ball now. What can they do? As Ed Chamberlain then gets the ball, certainly looking to get Bradford on the front foot. We centre field just shy of the 30-metre line. Oscar Thomas will feed Johnny Campbell. Johnny Campbell then makes it up to the 30-metre line. He's met by 2 Batley tacklers as the game continues. James Bentley pumps those legs. He manages to get Bradford to the 40-metre line. Johnny Campbell then will take another drive. His second drive of this set will get Bradford to the halfway line. And this is the 5th and last now. So what can Bradford do here? Ball goes to Joe Keys. Joe Keys puts a spiral kick down. That will see Dave Scott collect that deep in his half. He feeds Sean Ainscough. Sean Ainscough makes his way up the park, gets those legs going. He's pushed back over the 20-metre line of the Batley team. Good defence there from Bradford, managing to read that one. Alex Rowe now will bring the ball away for Batley. He manages to get to the 30-metre line, and he's brought down by Mikel Alaleski, certainly getting through some work. Joe Farrell then ball in hand, again met by, he will say that Bradford were offside there, and I've got to agree with him because Mendika was in there in a tackle, and Mikel Alaleski was certainly offside and he joined in. But the referee is managing to keep control of this one. Batley will kick for touch as the clock winds down here towards half time, and we can't have that long left to go. Batley will start the game on the 30-metre line. Crooks throws the ball in to get the game going with Davis. A little kick over the top then will turn Johnny Campbell round. Johnny Campbell races back to collect that one. What can Johnny Campbell do here? He's brought down. They manages to get back into the field of play. Brought down to the annoyance of the Bradford Bulls fans who are certainly saying he's not been allowed to get up and play the ball there. Then Oscar Thomas will take a drive as Bradford still getting back in defence. There goes the hooter for half time. This will be the last tackle of this half. This will see the half finish. Batley 4, Bradford 4.
Batley looked just as fit as Bradford yet at the part-time.
So Retty then kicks the ball off for the start of this second half. That is taken deep in goal by Bradford, and Bradford will now look to come up the park as we get the second half underway here at the Fox's Biscuit Stadium. You're listening to the Big Match Live brought to you in association with Providence, supporting Bull supporters home and away on BCB 106.6 FM. Johnny Campbell then with the ball manages to scramble over the 20-metre mark, and Bradford now will look through James Bentley to get on the front foot. Third tackle, but Bradford really struggling to get any momentum as Mikel Alaleski then takes the run, and he had Ed Chapelau on the outside of him looking for the ball. If it had hit Ed Chapelau, the ball would have carried on and continued up the park. The ball goes through Sam Alice. Sam Alice then feeds Corey Aston. Corey Aston then kicks the ball on the fifth tackle, and that will see Sean Ainscough collect the ball and return the kick back to Bradford. Batley then with possession will come down this slope, and Dave Scott will look to get things going, and Batley will look to attack at pace this Bradford line. Jason Crooks then brought down as Joel Farrell continues the attack for Batley on the fourth tackle. Batley now centre field, just shy of the halfway line, as excuse me, Alex Rowe bounces off one, but is then met by Mikel Alaleski, and Mikel Alaleski and Sam Alice bring him to the floor. This will now see Batley move the ball to this main stand side with Sam Smeaton. Sam Smeaton is wrapped up by Joe Keys in a tackle. Fifth and last then we'll see Dominic Brambini put up a bit of kick to test Oscar Thomas. Oscar Thomas takes that one well recovered by Oscar to return the play, giving Bradford the possession. Now what can Bradford do? They look to put the ball through quick hands, but again Johnny Campbell is wrapped up over on centre field of the play. Batley don't clear the play of the ball area. That should have been a penalty in my eyes. The referee missed that one. He says play on, but Bradford not been given anything here as Colton Roach is wrapped up in the tackle. Johnny Campbell now will try and get something going again, and Mark, it's too slow.
I think the rugby league game has been reinvented, and I think it's called east to west. You run north to south, and Bradford run east to west. They just had 4 tackles, they haven't gained 15 metres. Until that stops, you're running numbers off the ruck. Hunters a pack, that's what we call rugby league a pack. Then nothing's going to change.
Sean Ainscough then gets the ball and returns the ball for Batley. Batley just sits 45 metres away from their own try line, about 15 metres in from the far terrace side. And Dave Scott will take the second drive. He's met by 3 Bradford tacklers, Sam Alice, Mikel Alaleski and Ed Chapelau in there. Batley will look to keep something going here the best that they can. The game's not really exciting or bubbling away or anything like that. We're not seeing any. We're just seeing, I think, attack really testing the Bradford defence here. The Batley attack. It's only on the fifth and last then, as the ball moves back inside. That will see Patch Walker put up a little kick. Oscar Thomas takes that. He will race away. Tap it on the 30. He's got the momentum. The referee says play on. Oscar Thomas is then upended, and that is a ball and all tackle, Mark, that certainly sees the wind taken out of Oscar Thomas's sails. But Bradford continue their march up towards the halfway line. Mikel Alaleski now enters the Batley half, gets his big frame going. Bradford just shy, 20 metres in from this main stand side, just shy of the 40 metre line now as they come up this slope. Ed Chapelau turns the ball back inside. Corey Aston looking for runners. He's wrapped up, picked off quite easily. I think Ed Chapelau's gone down with a bit of a knock there, Mark, as Joe Magrin comes back on the park. Joe Keys then feeds James Bentley. That's a nothing ball there, Mark. Certainly lacking ideas. Why didn't Joe Keys take the line on there rather than offloading, Mark? That's a question that I'd be asking if I was Jeff Tuve. Jonathan Magrin then manages to get the Bulls up towards the 20 metre line. Joe Keys, a little kick over the top there. That's quite easy for Batley to collect. Sean Ainscough picks that one off quite easily, and that will hand possession back to Batley, and Alex Rowe Wayne Retty then is wrapped up in another tackle. Bradford want to be careful here, Mark, because they are straying a little bit offside for my liking. Sam Alice manages to wrap that ball up there from Sean Ainscough, as Batley will now want to come with a bit of speed down this slope. Mark, it's all too slow and lacklustre for my liking from Bradford.
Well, Batley are controlling this because what they're doing is just picking Bradford off when they're attacking because it's too slow and too lacklustre. And all they're doing is doing the basics right, just running down the central channel. They're already up to the halfway line. It is on the last tackle. They'll kick through. Bradford have to bring it back. But because they're not offering anything in offence, Batley know that they can play that game for the next half hour or 35 minutes. And that's what Batley will do. Somebody needs to break the Batley defence down by taking the line on at speed with a runner at the side of him. Somebody's going to shout for a runner to come to the side of him. And we appear to be lacking a leader on the field who can take us around the park. And that's got to be addressed very quickly for me.
Well, Scott Moore is currently off the park, and so is Damien Sirinen. I'm hoping that when they come back on, we maybe see that leadership and we see that bit of guys, Mark, where somebody can burst a tackle and offload, because we saw that in the first half with Sirinen, but obviously look for runners and they weren't there. Sam Alice then will try and get Bradford going forward, and Bradford, like I say, lacking a few ideas. The referee saying, come on boys, clear the ruck. Sam Alice now with the ball in hand, spots a gap, manages to get to the 40 metre line. He's brought down. Oscar Thomas will scoot away and make some yards. He will then feed Ed Chamberlain. Ed Chamberlain is still wrapped up on the 30 metre line as James Bentley with a little kick over the top, trying to see where that goes. That bounces and the ball's still in play. That's got to be a try. The referee is looking round. He gives a try, and Mark, a little bit of inventiveness from James Bentley then, and a lucky bounce sees Bradford score. I don't know who touched the ball down, Mark, because my view is obscured by the post, but I could certainly see it was a try.
That's what happens when you lift your intensity. What happened was James Bentley got the ball, he slipped, he kicked the ball from 20 metres out, went high in the air. The Batley player committed the unforgivable. He let the ball bounce. You teach kids not to do that. The ball bounced. It went over the, we thought it had gone over the touch in goal line. It hadn't. Bradford chased forward, batted it back. It bounced in touching goal, and a Bradford player pounced on it to get the try. That was inventiveness. It was scruffy. It was raggy. It wasn't very, very good, but it was all came from enthusiasm and inventiveness and kicking at a Batley player that didn't really want to take the ball.
Well, I think it was Cameron Smith that managed to touch that one down. Oh, sorry, they've actually given it to James Bentley. So James Bentley followed up his own kick then, yeah, and it must have been Cameron Smith that knocked the ball back and kept the ball in play, and obviously allowed James Bentley to touch that down. So play has resumed in the second half. Batley now 4, Bradford 8. The kick to come, and let's hope that Oscar Thomas can push this one over to certainly keep Bradford and get the points and the scoreboard kick sticking over in Bradford's favour. Inventive play from James Bentley and a great try to boot. That got the Bradford fans cheering in the northern stand. Oscar Thomason strikes that one sweet. That one goes straight through the upright. The score now, Batley Bulldogs 4, Bradford 10. And what can Bradford do, Mark, now? They've really they've got to up the ante and come back with a bit of vigour, and let's hope that they attack the Batley side with everything in the kitchen sink.
Well, they've got to do that, and that was great inventiveness there from James Bentley, following up his own kick. The full-back would have had that ball, Scott, but it went to a forward. He didn't know what to do. He just hesitated the Batley forward. The ball bounced in front of him. He realised he'd made a mistake, couldn't move his legs. It bounced way up in the air, about 15, 16 foot high, but it bounced backwards somehow, and somehow, I think it was Cameron Smith got underneath it. He put his hands back over his head, spooned it back, and there was Bentley to touch down. A little bit lucky, but it was only lucky because they worked hard. If you work hard, that's what happens. Luck comes your way. So
Johnny Campbell then will bring the wall away to get the Bradford Bulls back and try and get some momentum going up this slope. Bradford sit on the 20 metre line as Sam Alice feeds James Bentley again. James Bentley managing to keep going. He manages to burst the first tackle, but he's brought down then. And he comes up now with a knock on. Now the Batley players there congratulate one another. I thought that James Bentley's a little bit unlucky there, Mark, because certainly a little bit of after in the tackle, but the referee says no, he's having none of it. Well, and again we see momentum switch back into Batley's favour.
Right, this is the difference between being a boy and a man I talked about. Batley are older heads, they're a little bit rougher, a little bit tougher. If you're going to get a big hit, give one back. Get your footwork and your shoulder ready to raise your elbow. Your referee's got to penalise you. If you don't see it, he won't do it. You can't sort of be limping the tackle and see a crack coming and then just let the ball go. You've got to stand up to it. And Batley really have got something from nothing there. But by being dominant in the tackle, being physical, and Bradford being a little bit lacklustre, they've got the ball back.
So Batley then will start the set. The first tackle went through Jason Crooks. Jason Crooks managed to get Batley to the 30-metre line. Then the ball moves into centre field. Now the referee says that is head high. And Batley will be given a penalty, centre field in front of the sticks. And this is, again, 2 successive penalties, Mark. They're piggybacking Batley. Alex Rowe will steamroll down the centre of the park, Mark. He'll keep going and going and going. Batley now sit 5 metres shy of the Bradford try line. And it's just a case of when, Mark.
I think it is, but the referee gave a penalty there for head-high tackle, which it was, but there was no difference to the one before where, it's consistency from referees looking for. But you've got to match fire with fire yourself, so you've got to be aggressive in the forwards. That's the point I'm making.
Joe Farrell then, with the ball, he will look to keep Batley on the front foot. Batley now sit about 8 metres shy of the try line. The ball will come through hands, goes through Patch Walker. Patch Walker manages to hit one of his wide running players, and Batley still have the ball. The ball then goes into the hands of a Bradford player. Bradford now have possession then. So what can Bradford do here as they look to put this Batley attack into defence? James Bentley then feeds Johnny Campbell. Johnny Campbell ducks 1 tackle, beats 2. Johnny Campbell opens his legs, spots a gap. Go, Johnny, go! Johnny is then brought down by a tackle from behind. Managed to get Bradford up to the hardware line though. Oscar Thomas then will keep the ball moving out to Ilias McCanny on the fast hand side. Ilias McCanny then cuts back inside. Bradford up now into the Batley half, coming up the slope. They sit probably 30 metres shy of the Batley try line then, and we certainly see in a bit more vigour as Colton Roach tries to get something going there for Batley. Sam Alice hits Joe Magrin. Joe Magrin spots Joe Keys. Joe Keys in support there, manages to get Bradford to the 10-metre line on the 5th and last. This is now going to go to Oscar Thomas. Oscar Thomas will put in a little chip kick. That's nothing, Mark. That's wasted again on the last tackle.
Jeff Truby will be livid. That was absolutely garbage from Oscar Thomas. He kicked on the last tackle. He went straight out on the full. He had plenty of options. The Batley defence weren't up in his face. He had time there to knit a jumper and then put the kick in. You've just got to think in that position. You've got to think, and he was in the wrong position. He was in the pivot position. It should have been Corey Aston there, not him. But and Batley have the ball back, and guess where they are? They're back up the halfway line with 2 tackles.
Well, we've just seen there, Mark, Cameron Smith and Joe Keys, and Sam Alice, all turn around to Oscar Thomas and look at him and sort of like shake their heads with him and say, "What was that?" When when they were certainly in a better position than the kick merited. So the referee now will say that Batley have a penalty, but to me that looked like a knock-on. It's all getting a bit scrappy out there. The score still stands: Batley 4, Bradford 10. Sam Alice speaking to the referee. And again, why he didn't give knock on there, Mark, rather than the penalty remains to be seen. Patch Walker has got the ball. He will look to it, Alex Rowe. Alex Rowe then will go on one of his big barnstorming runs. Batley will sit just shy of the 20-metre line. And Bradford now have it all to do. I think Damien Sirenen is back out there on the park, Mark. So that will add a bit of steel in defence and also a little bit of a pace in attack. But Batley, Brambini, pushes the ball there to Walker. Walker will look to go on his own, and Walker goes in for a try. And Mark, it's like I said to you, it's not a question of how, it's a question of when, and that's been coming, Mark.
Well, the 2 reasons why that try's come: Bradford were on the last play, 10 metres out attacking. On your last option, you're going to make the option right. Now, if you can't score, you're going to put your opponents under pressure. Out on the full, Batley get the ball back, but the ease in which they're marching Bradford back down the field, and that there was telegraphed. It was done at slow pace. Bradford defender just stood off him, and if you defend like that, you won't win a rugby league game.
Well, we see Patch Walker then score the try to bring the score to Batley 8, Bradford 10, with the kick to come. And rightly, as my colleague said there, Bradford lacking invention, certainly found short in key positions, and I think Jeff Tuvey really does need to sit down and do some soul searching with certain players within that Bradford side, because frankly, some of the players and some of the judgment calls have certainly been not what you would expect of players who purport themselves to be professional players. As we see the goal converted then, and Bradford now with it all to do, the score now sits Batley Bulldogs 10, Bradford 10. Sorry, Mark. I was just sat like watching there what's going on. Sam Alice is discussing with the referee. He's still not happy over the decision that saw Batley get the penalty. The referee is stopping the clock. He's talking to Sam Alice, and
it's too late. It's gone.
It's gone, hasn't it? Yeah.
Too late. It's gone.
As you say. Oscar Thomas then will get us back underway here at the Foxes Biscuit Stadium. You're listening to the Big Match Live, brought to you in association with Providence, supporting Bull supporters home and away on BCB 106.6 FM.
Yes, the Bulls need to work hard now, and we're getting now to a situation where Batley have drawn level. They're running down the slope. They've got confidence. They think they've had the best of what Bradford have had to throw at them. It's up to Bradford. It's how much Bradford want this game now. It's how badly they want it. It's how they can muscle up, and it's how they can cut out the mistakes. And let's hope that the refereeing decisions don't. He's had a good game, the referee. Don't create the winner. Let's hope it comes from whoever plays the best.
So we see Batley then with Wayne Retty trying to get something going on this near stand side. James Bentley and James Bentley and Ed Chamberlain there wrap up Wayne Retty in the tackle. The ball then moves inside. Alex Rowe will try to get something going. They've certainly gone to win mark when they wanted to get on the front foot. Another high kick, certainly testing Oscar Thomas. He's underneath that one, and again though, Mark, he's wrapped up all too easy by the Batley defence. Joe Keys then plays the ball to Johnny Campbell. Johnny Campbell will run across the park, and rather than going forward and getting anything going, he'll crab across the park trying to spot a gap. He's wrapped up by Alex Rowe, one of the Batley tacklers. The ball still moves to the left hand side, and Bradford now trying to find some momentum. Damien Sirenen then will come straight up the centre of the park, straight in, opening those legs. Bradford just shy of the 30-metre line. Joe Keys then hits Joe Keys hits James Bentley. James Bentley can't get really going, and again Corey Aston then will look to kick to turn this Batley team round, but Dave Scott is wrapped up there, picked up quite easily from Colton Roach. And now we see Sean Ainscourt brushing tacklers aside, beats one, beats two, then he's met by 3-4 Bradford tacklers, eventually bring him down just shy of the 40-metre line. Alex Rowe will go in then and get his forward momentum going. He's wrapped up by Damien Sirenen and James Bentley in there to name two of the tacklers. But Batley will still look to keep going forward. They're now just shy of the Bradford 20-metre line. And again, looking for runners, Brambani moves the ball across to Walker. Patch Walker, it's Joel Farrell. Joel Farrell spots the gap, and on the fifth and last, I thought that he'd only got to go there, Mark, and he was in. But Batley still with the ball. We'll see Dave Scott score on the fifth and last tackle. The referee will give that one, and Batley, what a well-worked try again from the hard work done by the forwards, Alex Rowe and Joel Farrell, to get them on the front foot.
Well, the Batley pack down the central channel, left and right, running amok, running through the Bradford Bulls like running through rice paper, quite frankly. It's like whacking the piñata with a stick and everything's bursting open. And Bradford just cannot defend that, and they look lacklustre, they look lost. And I think now Batley will open the legs and check it further ahead. And it's how bad does it get? Well, it's bad for the Bradford Bulls at the moment. It's poor play. So
we've had 20 minutes of the second half gone. The score stands Batley 14, Bradford 10. And we did speak, Mark, about this slope in the second half and how the Batley forwards would want to come down the slope. And certainly, with a bit of pace and a bit of brim and a bit of vigour. And that's what we've seen through the likes of Alex Rowe, through the likes of Joe Farrell, and they've certainly wanted to get Bradford and knock him about a bit, Mark.
They have, and you know, you've got to respond to that, and Bradford haven't responded to it. Now, there's nothing wrong with, we've not used enough Johnny Campbell, probably the fastest player on the field. They've not got him into gaps to give him a galloping run. The half-back partnership has been non-existent. Every attack's been snuffed out and stifled virtually, and the pack, apart from Sinneran, really have been like a cub pack, a pack of baby cub wolves who just run around looking for milk and maybe looking for the mother, because they haven't done anything to frighten Batley at all today, and that's what should happen in every rugby league game.
Oscar Thomas then will get us back underway here at the Foxes Biscuit Stadium. The ball goes deep, collected by Dominic Brambani. He will feed Alex Rowe. Alex Rowe will go on one of those barnstorming runs again, met by Damien Sirenen, but the referee says, I'm sorry, you had a second go. Him and James Bentley giving a penalty, an easy penalty to Batley. That will get Batley further down the park, and again, Bradford doing everything they can to help this Batley, piggybacking them down the park, Mark, and the play will start on the 40-metre line just inside the Bradford half. And again, the questions are going to be asked of this Bradford defence as Batley look to line up these big men now and centre field, Mark, and it's all going to be done. Well,
it has all going to be done because 52 minutes have gone, and you know, the 62 minutes have gone, and it's the Batley Bulldogs 16, the Bulls 10, and Batley in the ascendancy running down the slope of Mock. So not long left, plenty of time for the Brad Bulls to catch up and to win this game. But you know, the way they're playing, it doesn't look likely that they're going to do that.
Well, it's not been a flowing affair, Mark. It's been a bit scrappy and a bit patchy in places. So I think the game is definitely there for who wants to take it. But Bradford are going to have to dig deep and find something in the locker, Mark, because as it stands at this moment in time, Batley are attacking, and again they're held up over the line, Mark, but Batley are looking to use these big forwards, these big battering rams, and then sticking their backs on the end of it, Mark, and picking Bradford off with ease.
Well, that's exactly what they're doing, and they're meeting no real opposition, and it's become quite easy for Batley. It's not a free-flowing game. It's up for whoever wants to win it the most can win this game still, but I think it's more likely to be Batley than it is the Bradford Bulls.
Carlton Roach then, Bradford now in possession. That was the fifth and last tackle there from Batley, which will see Bradford get the ball. Carlton Roach takes the first drive, and Scott Moore now back on the park. He feeds Corey Aston. Corey Aston takes a little drive, trying to get something going. Sorry, Joe Keys takes a drive, trying to get something going on the front foot. Damien Sirenen then will straighten his back and get those big legs of his pumping. He's met by three strong tacklers there of Batley. What can Bradford do here? Scott Moore then feeds the ball to Corey Aston. Corey Aston goes over to the far stand side. That will see Ilias McCarney cut back on the inside, and Bradford still trying to go up that far stand side, Mark, through Ed Chamberlain, as Corey Aston then gives the ball to Oscar Thomas. Oscar Thomas is wrapped up centre field, and this is the fifth and last, Mark, so Bradford now have got to do something. That will see a little chip kick over the top. All too easy, I think, for Batley. Sean Ainscough will collect that and turn that round. He is met by three Bradford defenders who pin him down to the floor. Bradford really now have got to defend with... Now the referee stops the clock here. And now he says play on. Mark, very innocuous. Can't understand why he stopped the clock there. He said that the player wasn't ready to play the ball. That allowed Batley to reset. And the attacking speed line that Bradford had set has now gone to waste. However, Batley over the 10-metre line, and Bradford now on the front foot with defensive line speed. They've got to be careful here, Mark, because gaps are appearing. Well, it takes one of these big men and Batley to burst through, and then the gaps will appear, and I'm sure that the try will come from that. But Bradford have got to muscle up in defence, Mark.
They certainly have. They're going to be tougher, meaner, and they're going to start doing it now because there's not a lot long left in this game. Still time to win the game. Bradford are capable of winning it, but not on current playing performance because they're not making enough ground, and Batley just making the use of the slope, kicking into the corners, making Bradford come back out of the defensive red zone, and they're not making enough yardage. They're running sideways, as you can see there from I think it's McCarney.
No, Johnny Campbell there.
Johnny Campbell.
Yeah.
And he's dragged into touch as well for good measure.
But the referee's going to give a penalty there.
The linesman on the far side, I think, has been absolutely useless. He's half asleep. He thought that, but there was double movement there. The referee said it luckily and overruled him. Well,
Bradford getting off lightly there. They might get out of jail because, rightly as you say, I thought that He'd gone right across then and been dragged into touch on that attacking set. But the referee said there was afters, so that certainly allows Bradford then now to get something going as Carlton Roach straightens up, comes up the centre of the park with the ball. And Scott Moore in there feeds Corey Aston. Corey Aston to Damien Sirinen, a little short pass. Damien Sirinen will look to meet the Batley defenders and manages to get Bradford inside the 30. Scott Moore then will take a little scoop. Scott Moore, Corey Aston, Oscar Thomas. Ball through hands then, and that will hit James Mendika. James Mendika is not really going anywhere, Mark, on that far stand side. He feeds the ball to Ilias McCartney. Ilias McCartney brought down. Bradford not really getting forward, which is what's needed here. And again, Sam Alice is wrapped up by 3 Batley defenders on the 5th and last tackle. So the ball now hits Joe Keys. That's got to go up in the air. Joe Keys puts that up. Dominic Brambini and Wayne Retty then looking to see who was taking it, and either one of them could have had it, but Wayne Retty comes up with it, and Bradford now have to defend again against this rampaging Batley forward pack. Dave Scott then pinned to the floor by Sam Alice. Sam Alice then slow to get up, but play continues here. That will see Patch Walker then with the ball attack the Bradford line. He's brought down by Carlton Roach and Sam Alice again. John Magrin and Sam Alice. Sam Alice getting through a lot of work then. He normally does 60 tackles in a game, and he'll be approaching that number, I dare say, as Scott Moore then stops the Batley attack. Another little kick downfield. That will turn Bradford round. What's Oscar Thomas done here? Knocks the ball back inside. Johnny Campbell will pick that ball up. Can Johnny Campbell get anything going here? He's wrapped up quite easily by the Batley defence. And Mark, it's all a bit laboured.
Well, can I just point out to our listeners there, the kick to the corner pushed Johnny Campbell and Oscar Thomas into the corner, and the umbrella defence, what we call the umbrella defence, it's umbrella shaped, enveloped those two down there. There were another 11 Bradford players, at least between 10 and 15 metres, walking hands on hips back. So Johnny Campbell and Oscar were on their own. They can't drive the ball out. The options are limited. That shows lack of fitness or lack of thought or lack of effort.
So what can Bradford do here now then as the ball comes? This will see Johnny Campbell. Johnny Campbell opens his legs, cuts back on the inside. He feeds Ilias McCartney. What a fantastic try. That brings Bradford back into this game. Well worked try there. Showed the pace of Johnny Campbell. Showed the pace of Ilias McCartney. We had centre and winger supporting winger and centre, and that mark is no more than Bradford deserve for their efforts trying to get back up this part. That was inventive play, lovely little play there from James Bentley, and that set everything up that allowed Johnny Campbell to go and stretch his legs and then feed the ball back on the inside to Ilias McCartney, allowing Ilias McCartney to show his speed and touchdown.
That is deserving of it was a fantastic try, was that. It was deserving for Johnny Campbell, because him and Oscar Thomas were left alone in the bottom corner of the field. They decided to bring it out themselves. There were no fault to help them. They did that. The ball came out of Johnny Campbell. He broke away, stretched his legs. He beat one player at the centre coming across. He just had the fullback to beat. Realised the fullback was on him and passed to the support player. A break is only as good as a support player, and that was McCartney. The best try of the game, a fabulous try. A great counterproductive try. And when I say counterproductive, from not defending properly, the backs took the ball into the hands and took the law into their own hands as well, and broke away beautifully. He saw the gaps in the Batley defence. He's the fastest player on the field, Johnny Campbell. He should have had more ball in this game, and he would have had scored more tries. That makes it now Batley Bulldogs 16, the Bradford Bulldogs 16. Who wants it the most? There are 10 minutes and 31 seconds left on the clock. We're in for a grandstand finish, and let's hope it's one of the faster men. It doesn't matter who scores a try for Bradford, but I think it's going to be something like Johnny Campbell or Oscar Thomas that probably scores a winning try. Somebody's got some legs on them.
Well, traditionally, Mark, the game here last year 24 apiece, and this one locked up at 16 apiece. I can't see this one being a draw for for the reasons that basically I think both teams know that they've got to win, and nothing but a win will do. Bradford certainly now getting the ascendancy going, as we see Sam Alice trying to get things moving. He comes up to the 40-metre line on the 5th and last tackle. Scotty Morton at acting up. He'll feed Corey Aston as he's done so many times today. Corey Aston will put a little kick along the ground this time, and that will then see Bradford now have the ability to get up there and defend and certainly pin Sam Smeaton down to the floor. And Bradford now will go hunting, and they will go hunting with in numbers, Mark, to try and force this Batley team into an error. Sean Ainscough there just crabbing along the floor. Old man in the referee again. Batley make it up to the 20-metre line on the third tackle. Bradford here, the line speed is good. Get up and meet Batley again as Joe Keys, James Bentley and Corey Aston then certainly getting through the grafting work. And the same three again, Mark, are in again as Batley struggling to get any momentum up to the fifth and last. They've made 40 metres in 5 tackles, so that shows good defensive speed from Bradford. That will see Patch Walker put a high kick. This will be a tester. That's taken by Ilias McCarney. What can Ilias McCarney do here? Straightens up, has a run, manages to get Bradford sent field and over the 30-metre line. Oscar Thomas, he will feed James Mendika. James Mendika then will manage to claw his way to the 40-metre line. Bradford moving the ball about. Damien Sirinen then straightens up as he's done all day, coming up this slope in the second half. Managed to get Bradford to the halfway line. Scotty Moore feeds John Magrin. John Magrin then juggles one way, jinks another. He manages to get another 10 metres, Mark, to keep Bradford into this Batley half. What can happen here as we see Ilias McCarney then is brought down on the fifth and last, and that will see a kick towards the corner. That's not even gone dead, Mark, so that will be a restart, and all that hard work in defence, Mark, they've got to do again.
All come to nothing. That should have gone this side of the flag, not the other side. Just a little bit of lack of thought there, tiredness creeping in from Corey Aston, and wow, this one's going to go either way. Which way is it going to go? I wouldn't like to call it. We thought it'd be close. Well, Bradford Bulls have, to be fair, have upped the work rate in the last 5 or 10 minutes, and let's hope we can see more of that from them.
So Batley then centre field with Alistair Leake. He's wrapped up by Corey Aston and Sam Alice, but that will see Patch Walker then. Patch Walker throws the ball back. Now what's the referee going to give here? He's going to give a knock on, which is good because Bradford there went again with great line speed. Damien Sirinen managing to force the Batley player. I think the Batley player was watching the man rather than watching where the ball was coming, Mark. And again, if you had Damien Sirinen running at you, I think you'd be, which way do I go here? But again, a little bit of an error, Mark, that should allow Bradford now to build on this.
It should do. It's noticeable as well since Damien Sirinen has come back on the field. Bradford have been that little bit better, haven't they?
They've certainly had some go forward, Mark, and Scott Moore and Damien Sirinen have certainly managed to get Bradford onto the front foot. As we see Scott Moore feed Damien Sirinen now. Damien Sirinen will drag his team up towards the 40-metre line. Scotty Moore in again. He will hit Corey Aston. Sam Alice. Sam Alice manages to break one tackle. He's wrapped up, although the tackle is around the head there, Mark. And again, the referee says, get on with it. But again, it's you know, a little bit of afters there, Mark, that should have been resulted in a penalty. And Bradford now have it all to do. Joe Keys there looking for runners. It's Damien Sirinen. Damien Sirinen then manages to get Bradford now 15 metres shy of this Batley try line. What can Bradford do here? Sam Alice looks for a runner. The ball is spilt, a bit of a sloppy pass. That goes out to James Mendika. James Mendika cuts back inside. He will look for a runner. Scotty Morse picks Joe Keys. Joe Keys to James Bentley. James Bentley to Ilias McCart to Johnny Campbell. Johnny Campbell then feeds the ball inside. That sees Batley come back with the ball. We have a Bradford player down. I think that's James Bentley, Mark. No, it's not James Bentley. I do apologise. I think Bradford there had a player taken off the ball, Mark.
I think they have a player taken off the ball, and I think there was frustration from Batley. I don't think the linesman's seen it. The referee certainly didn't see it. So Batley will get away with that. It gives them a chance to get a bit of water on. Johnny Campbell had the Batley defence stretched once again, just not quite backing himself, maybe just not quite as quick as he was. He had that horrific leg injury, didn't he? Break of the leg some years ago. Just maybe not enough support players there, but I'm being a bit critical there of Bradford. But the Batley stretched. That's been the tactic all afternoon, and that's what you do against a side like Batley. You would stretch them left and right on the flank, hit the ball quick. That from the scrum there came to. He was first receiver in the stand-off position was Syrian, and he took the Batley line on. He turned and he slips the ball beautifully. It went out along the line. It actually came down to Johnny Campbell, turned it back inside. Batley thought they'd got the ball. They, I think, dropped it, and there was some sort of head-eye shot from one of the Batley players, but I don't think the linesman saw it at all.
So play stopped here then at the Foxes Biscuit Stadium. The scores are locked up. Batley 16, Bradford 16. We're certainly trying to find out what's going on here, and I think in all fairness, Mark, it's Ed Chapelhow that is down on the park. He's certainly looking groggy. They're doing a few tests on him there, Mark, as we wait to see what's going to happen here. Scotty Moore speaking to his troops, certainly geeing up the boys and telling them that, come on, we've got to get out in defence and meet this Batley attack on this one. A round of applause goes out for the player that's now stood on his park. He's having a few tests, and the doctor's just checking him out and saying that he's good to go. He's going to remain on the park, but for me, Mark, I would certainly add a look to substitute him there, because he does look groggy. Does Ed Chamberlain, sorry. So yeah, it was Ed Chamberlain, not Ed Chapelhow, although they do look similar, Mark, I must admit. So Bradford then have it all to do, and to his credit, Ed Chamberlain gets stuck in and does the first tackle, but Bradford now asking for some line speed to certainly keep this Batley attack on its back foot. James Brown offloads in the tackle. That will see the ball go out to Sean Ainscough. Sean Ainscough beats Oscar Thomas with ease. He will feed Dave Scott. Dave Scott will race in for a well-worked Batley try, and that, Mark, is also easy. Sean Ainscough rolling back the years there, Mark, as he was allowed, but he beat Oscar Thomas with great ease. And I'm sorry, Mark, but that to me is not championship defending.
No, it's not championship defending, it's Pennine League defending, and when you defend like Pennine League players do, all due respect to them, that's what you get. Oscar Thomas just made nothing of an attempt there. Poor. Still got it as Ainscough, and he scooted away down the far left-hand side. And I think that's, there's still, 6.5 minutes to go, but it's Batley 20, Bull 16. But I'm afraid no matter how you think you played, if you defend like that, then you've got a problem. And quite frankly, there was support play from Batley. You could argue there was a penalty earlier on that the referee missed, but Batley have been more physical. But if you don't stand up with physically against your opponents, well, then that's what you get. You get back, but take nothing away from Batley. Great breakaway try down the left-hand channel, and defending was absolutely woeful.
Well, it's a cruel game, is rugby league, and when you see Sean Ainscough break away like that and roll back the years and beat a guy who's a few years his senior for pace, you've got to ask questions of what is exactly going on and where is the fitness level with some of these players, Mark. And again, confidence is a key factor, but fitness is another factor.
Well, I'm going to quote a heavy woolen friend of mine who's no longer with us, sadly, but a great guy called Dennis Trotter. And Dennis Trotter used to say to me, if you've not got the ticker in your left stand side, don't go on a rugby field. One or two Bradford players were asked themselves that question. What's the ticker like? Don't go on a rugby field, because some of the defending has been absolutely woeful.
Short kick-off then from Bradford. Ball goes to Patch Walker. Batley in possession over on the fast-hand side. 3 metres in on that fast-hand side. Will look to get something going again and try and score with back-to-back sets of possession. Bradford's line speed dropping off. They need to certainly get up and meet them. The tackles are getting a bit sloppy, but what can Bradford do to repel this Batley attack? Batley now will look to move the ball. That will see James Brown then go on the front foot. James Brown has had a good game today. He's certainly been instrumental when he's been on the park in getting Batley forward. So has Dane Manning. Dominic Brambini then will go. He's whipped up quite easily by Scott Moore on the fifth and last. Patch Walker goes for a drop goal. There was more goal in that than drop, Mark, and I don't know why you went for that, because to be honest with you, Batley could have put Bradford to the sword there rather than handing possession back to Bradford. Sam Alice then gets the game back underway, and Mark, it's a strange decision again.
Well, I'm going to tell you about the decision from Patch Walker. I'll tell you what I think, Pete. I think psychologically Batley know they can beat the Bulls. They've thrown everything at them, the Bulls, and it's not worked. And I think they can hold them. They can definitely hold them in the forwards. And psychologically, that was just worth a go.
Well, Bradford now getting a penalty then for a little bit of afters there with James Brown on Joe Keys. And Sam Alice is down in back play, Mark. I'm hoping that he's okay, but we've seen Sam Alice come to the side of the park as Bradford now in the 25 metres out, sit around about 20 metres in, and Scott Moore will hit Damien Sirenen. Damien Sirenen will then run. Liam Kirk comes back on the park, And Scotty Moore now will look for runners. Scotty Moore takes a little scoop from acting half. He'll feel Corey Aston. Corey Aston looks for the gap. That looked a little bit high again. And Corey Aston gets one for his troubles. But Scott Moore's in there. Liam Kirk. Liam Kirk will bust forward. Get Bradford to 5 metres shy of this Batley try line. Joe Keys, then Oscar Thomas. Oscar Thomas threw that anyway. But that is luckily to go to Johnny Campbell. Cuts back inside. But that pass from Oscar Thomas, again, Mark, was to nobody. Joe Keys then puts a little kick across the park. What can Bradford do here? That will go to Colton Roach. John Magrin is then brought down on the 6th tackle. That will see the ball go back to Batley. And I want to go back there, Mark, to that pass from Oscar Thomas, because Oscar Thomas just threw that anywhere in that attacking set.
Well, yeah, he's had a 90 minutes, Oscar. Poor old Oscar. He's had some sick this afternoon, hasn't he? One of those days at the office where you don't play well, and the harder you try, the worse you play. And he'll have nightmares when he sees the video being played back, I think. But we've got what we've got, and we've got actually Batley Bulldogs 22, the Bulls 16, 2 minutes 44 on the clock. I think this is Batley's game. Well,
what can Bradford do? They've certainly defended a little bit better in this second half than we anticipated, Mark. The line spin's been good, but Batley have certainly found gaps when they've needed to and been able to send the big guys through. As we've seen, Wayne Retty then takes the ball from Dane Manning. Wayne Retty scoots away. That will get Batley set up. And a little bit play of the ball is sloppy. Dominic Brambini in the centre of the park. Then Scott Moore gets out to him. He ducks his shoulder from Scott Moore. He drops the ball. The referee says back to 1. That will see Patch Walker with a little kiss. And that sees now Bradford with the ball. Johnny Campbell hacks that forward. That bounces back off a Batley leg. So this will be 6 to go, Mark. And again, both teams lacking a little bit of an idea there when in great positions. And the referee certainly allowing play to continue with some strange decisions. That ball's just moved from left to right. As we see now, Ilias McCarney gets the ball. He will look to go and use some pace. He manages to get Bradford up to the 30-metre line. Scott Moore is wrapped up quite easily. Batley have got to be offside there, Mark. And the ball is pinched by Batley in the tackle. Mark, that is poor.
Well, it is when you're lethargic. I mean, when you're lethargic, people will pinch the ball off you. A little bit of all-manning by Batley. They've got the tails up. Even though Bradford aren't the side they were, for a team from the heavy willing area, a small team like to beat the former world champions is a big thing, and it'll be a great day for Batley because that's what they're going to do, in my opinion.
So Batley then in attack as we come towards the closing stages of this second half, and Batley still have the ball in hand. Patch Walker then drops his shoulder, beats Colton Roach in the tackle, but is eventually wrapped up by Scotty Moore. Scotty Moore then trying to get some afters. That will see Brambini go for a drop goal, and the referee gives that one. So Dominic Brambini drops a drop goal then against his former club of Bradford, and that pushes Batley to 23 and Bradford on 16. The game is definitely Batley's now after that drop goal, and again is back to the drawing board for Bradford, Mark.
Very much so. Very much so. I mean, it's been a good rugby league contest. It's been a team of triers and doers, a little bit more physical, out muscling and out thinking. A team of people who are playing like they're a bit disjointed, like they were put together during the week. And until that stops, Bradford won't get any further.
Well, the hooter goes here. The Batley players celebrate, and it's all fizzled out, Mark, in the end. Johnny Campbell there with a tackle on Dane Manning to bring the game to a close. They just help, they help one another up off the park.